Hello and welcome to this look at the Class 60s. In this programme, we take a detailed look at the changing fortunes of the Class 60, the last diesel locomotive type to be built for British Rail. At Liverpool docks, a single Class 60 could do the work of a pair of Class 56s. Or before that, 4 Class 20s, on heavy trainloads of imported coal to Fiddler's Ferry power station. The journey began with a short but punishing incline out of the docks as far as Bootle Junction. The locomotive in charge here is 60069, one of a fleet of 11 Class 60s allocated to North West coal duties in 1992. Class 60s ventured down the Forley branch, which even back in the 1990s was the last outpost of semaphore signalling in Hampshire. Most rail traffic to and from Forley Refinery had been lost to pipelines and road transport in the 1970s, but the railway still carried a handful of flows. Crude oil from Hollybourne, liquid petroleum gas to Longport, and bitumen and gas oil to various locations in the southwest. Unlike Transrail, Loadhaul adopted an eye-catching new livery for its locomotive fleet. The black and orange scheme marked a deliberate break from the traditional railway colours of yellow, green, red and blue. Customer liveries were still fairly unusual in the 1990s. But in 1997, EWS painted 2 Class 60s, 60033 and 60006, in British steel blue to mark the strong links between the two companies. When Deutsche Bahn purchased EWS in 2007, most Class 60s were out of use, and the future of the class looked bleak. But their heavy haulage capability was still useful. And so, in 2011, DB announced its Super 60 upgrading programme. Colas Rail became a Class 60 operator in 2014, when it purchased 10 locomotives from DB Schenker. The new acquisitions went to Toten for the same upgrade as the DB Super 60s, and 60087 was the first example to be outshopped in Colas yellow and orange. 60021 was one of the first Class 60s to be repainted in full GB Rail Freight colours, and very smart it looked too. The train is one of the regular Liverpool to Drax biomass workings, routed over the Mid-Cheshire line in order to avoid the gradient on the more direct line via Miles Platting. Since 2020, DC Rail has operated the weekly train load of industrial sand from Middleton Towers to St Helens for the local Pilkington's glassworks. This train tends to run over the weekend, with a Saturday afternoon arrival in St Helens. The wagons then return empty to Chaddesden sidings near Derby on Monday.